Welcome back to the TFC Football YouTube channel today for another video. And what a video we have today. Out of nowhere, seemingly, Frank Lampard sacked by Chelsea Football Club. It's no secret that in the league this season, Chelsea have been struggling to pick up results on many occasions, and Frank Lampard has been the scapegoat for this. He has been the one to blame by Chelsea and the board also, seemingly, and I don't think it's all Frank Lampard's fault. I believe it is down to the players. If so, the players so much more than the manager. They've down-tooled, and I feel like players like Timo Werner and Kai Havertz, the new marquee signings brought in to make a difference, they've really been nowhere so far this season and really put a bad light on Frank Lampard and Roman Abramovich and the board. As a result of this, they've just treated him so shockingly badly. One of the biggest icons in Chelsea's history getting treated like that, getting carted off out of Chelsea in such a disrespectful manner. And I think it was a really sly, really horrible thing to do from the board at Chelsea, because I'm pretty sure they know fine well that if they would have sacked Lampard with the stadium full of fans, it would have been a lot harder for them to get away with it. In my opinion, it's just another typical display of what the Chelsea board are like. They are unable to stick with a manager on a long-term project for a prolonged amount of time, and that was proven as the first real blip really that Frank Lampard had. He was gone straight away, and I believe that Frank Lampard should have stayed, and I do think that he's constantly learning on the job. We can't forget this is his biggest job and his second job after Derby, so his first ever Premier League job. So I think he was doing very well, except for the little blip he had. But on the grand scheme of things, he to me didn't deserve to be sacked, and he deserved more time. When Frank Lampard took over the reins at Chelsea Football Club in 2019, he was in a very difficult position for his first season as manager in the role, as Chelsea had a transfer ban and were not allowed to sign any players, as well as the fact that they sold their big name player Eden Hazard to Real Madrid, and he was stuck with a team full of youth for this first season, as well as a few experienced players like Willian and Giroud. But on the whole, he somehow managed to get all of those youth players really working well together in a solid system, and managed to get them much higher up the league than everyone would have predicted. Me personally expected them to finish mid-table in that season, but rose to the challenge, and Frank Lampard brought them right to the top of the league. And this, I believe, was Frank Lampard's dip and his first real struggle at the club. But if you look at other managers in the league, there's one key example here. Ralph Hasenhüttl from Southampton. He and his club went on a very bad run of form, very bad run of games last season, including a 9-0 loss to Leicester City. And they also went on to lose the following 2 games after that. But the faith and the dedication that Southampton board showed in their manager, and that they knew he was the right man for the job, they're reaping the rewards now with where Southampton are in the table, and that is because of them and keeping Hasenhüttl in the job. And I'm not saying that this would have been the case for Lampard, that he could have brought Chelsea to a league title or win the Champions League or anything like that. I'm purely saying that this was not the best of Frank Lampard, and I think that in time he would have got back up the table into the top four quite comfortably and quite deep in the Champions League, in my opinion. In terms of Frank Lampard's record as a manager at his time at Chelsea, he played 57 games as manager for the club across 1.5 seasons in the Premier League, racking up 28 wins along the way. And I think as a Chelsea manager, with the team he's had taken into consideration, I think personally that he hasn't done a bad job as Chelsea manager. However, with the normal standards of Chelsea, I think a lot of people would expect better, but with the tools he had at his disposal and with how he was up against some very, very strong teams that he had to compete with in the Premier League last season, and some very, very tough teams very, very many teams actually to contest with this season for the league. It was always going to be very, very difficult for Frank Lampard, and it's showing this season. So, in terms of replacement for Frank Lampard at Chelsea, it looks like it's going to be Thomas Tuchel, the former PSG and Borussia Dortmund manager. He is an interesting man for the job. I don't know how he will do at Chelsea. I feel like he did rather well at Dortmund and then at PSG also, but was not able to deliver ultimately what PSG wanted in the Champions League. But in terms of Chelsea's goals and what Chelsea expect, I feel like for him it has to be top four finish and very deep in the Champions League, because if he does anything like Lampard, he will be out just as quickly. If he has any little slip up like Lampard did, I think he will be gone too. And this is just the system of Chelsea Football Club. In order for them to get back to the top, they need to have a long-term project with a manager who they believe in and they can back, because they're just chopping and changing managers and they're getting no real success from this. You look at the history, getting rid of Carlo Ancelotti in the tunnel at Goodison Park being one example, and this is just the board for you, and Roman Abramovich. So, what do I think this means for Chelsea for the rest of the season with the manager who they are taking on, who probably will be Thomas Tuchel? I think that they will initially have a bit of a bounce effect where they perform, start winning games. Werner might start scoring a few goals. Havertz might be getting a little more game time. And I feel like it might initially go a little bit better for Tuchel than it did for Lampard. But in the long term, I can see the same effect, if not worse, for Tuchel not being a Chelsea man, not quite understanding the club like Lampard does. And I feel like this will show through in time, and I really don't think that the Chelsea supporters will quite take to him like they did to Lampard, obviously being an icon and just being the man who I think most Chelsea fans actually still wanted to stay in the job. And yeah, I really thought that sacking Frank Lampard was the wrong decision, and that he really should have stayed in the job till at least the end of the season. Now we have come to the end of this YouTube video on the channel. I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. If you did like this video, don't forget to comment, like and subscribe on this YouTube video. And yeah, thank you everybody for watching. Have a good day, See ya.